Good day, everyone. I am Marion Chibunola from Group 3, 4th Presenter. So, by the way, I just want to ask you guys, how are you? I hope you're all safe and doing well. Because last September 30 was the saddest thing that happened to us, right? Because we were struck by an earthquake. So it was a strong reminder of how unpredictable life can be and how important safety, planning, and solid design are in our daily lives. That make us realize how much we depend on the knowledge and skills of engineers, architects, designers, and builders who create strong, safe, and reliable structures, and even the manufactured products that we use every day, such as machines, furnitures, vehicles, and tools. Now that we are done with metric English conversion, we are moving forward to another essential lesson in technical drawing, which is the alphabet of lines. Topic: our learning targets are to and identify the different lines used in technical drawing. Second is to understand the purpose and the application of each line type. And lastly, to apply the alphabet of lines in actual sketches. So, this topic will help us understand the different types of lines used not only in architectural drawings but also in mechanical and manufacturing designs, which serve as the foundation for all the things we build and produce. So, before any building or manufactured object is created, everything begins with a technical drawing. So, what is technical drawing? Drawing is a detailed plan that serves as a guide for production or construction. So to make these drawings clear and easy to understand, professionals use something very important called the alphabet of lines. So, isang paano yung alphabet of lines? So, the alphabet of lines is a set of lines used in technical drawing to represent the shape, size, and details of an object. So each line has a specific meaning and purpose. For example, some lines show visible edges, others show hidden parts, and some are used for measurements or references. So you might ask, why is it called the alphabet of lines? So it is called the alphabet of lines because it works just like the English alphabets that we use in writing. So the alphabet helps us to communicate through words. While the alphabet of lines helps engineers, architects, and designers to communicate through drawings. So each letter in our alphabet has its own sound and meaning, and when combined, they form words and sentences. So in the same way, each line in the alphabet of lines has its own appearance and function, and when used together correctly, they form a complete and understandable technical drawing. So, line classification and technical drawing are classified according to their thickness and purpose. So, there are two main classifications of line. We have the thick lines. So, the purpose of this line is to show the outlines or the important edges of an object. So, these lines stand out and represent the visible or main parts of the figure. So, while the second one is the thin line. So, the purpose of this line is to show details, measurements, or reference lines that support the main drawing. So, these lines are lighter and less dominant than thick lines. So, why line classification is important? So, line classification helps maintain clarity, consistency in every technical drawing. So, if all lines can look the same, the drawing would be confusing and hard to read. So, by using thick and thin lines properly, we can show which parts of an object are visible, hidden, or meant for measurement only. So, this accuracy is crucial in both construction, manufacturing, where every line must be understood precisely before production begins. line types in technical drawing, the alphabet of lines. So these are the line types in technical drawing. So we have border line, visible line, hidden line, section line, center line, extension line, dimension line, and so on and so forth. Border line are very thick, heavy, continuous line used to frame the drawing and to separate the title block from the rest of the drawings. So in technical drawing or drafting, the title blocks helps identify the drawing easily. So it is called a block because it is drawn box area of or a block of information usually found at the bottom right corner of the sheet. So borderline keeps the drawing neat and organized. They also hold key info like the course, name, date, and drawing numbers. So dito na masulod sa title. So to draw these lines, use dark pencils like 4B or 5B or type pens 0.8 to 1.0 millimeters. If wala, we can use Mongol 2. So here is the example. So another example is this. As you can see, the sa borderline sa left part is always dako gyud na siya nga dako gyud siya og measurement kaysa sa uban or the rest part sa drawing area. So such as sa upper, sa right, and sa bottom is the same ra siya og measurements. Because according to my research, ang standard na sukod in technical drawing, any size of paper should be 20 millimeters or 2 centimeters sa left, while sa upper, right, and bottom part is 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter. While in a title block is magdepende siya sa size sa paper ko. So if kung dako na nga paper inyong gamiton is ang sukod ana is 5 na jud siya. Kay kung gagmay is 3 cm gina siya. So 3 to 5 cm gina siya. Hindi sad siya makuan if naiihatag nga specific nga instruction ang inyong teachers regarding sa mga measurements sa borderline and title block. So also you can see sa kada box is nasa siya ka ng measurement. So sa first nga box is 6.5 cm, then 6 cm, 5 cm, and 5 cm, and 2.5 cm. So visible line and object line. So it is a thick full line which is used to represent all visible edges of an object. So it shows the outline and shape of an object. So in this photo, you can see an example of a visible line or object line. So this is the thick solid line that you can see in technical drawing to show the visible edges and outlines of an object, or simply the parts that you can see with your eyes. So here, the 3D object on the left shows the real look of the item. So while the 2D drawing on the right uses visible lines to show its shape on paper. By using these lines, you can clearly show the shape, size, and form of the object in your drawing. So when you draw, it's best to use B or 2B pencil for darker strokes, or technical pen with a size of 0.3 to 0.5 to make your lines neat and easy to see. So in short, when you use visible lines, you make your drawing look more real and easy to understand because you're showing the parts of the object that can be seen from the outside. So that's all for my part. Thank you for listening.
Okay, so the next alphabet of lines is a hidden line. So a hidden line is a dashed line that shows the part of an object that you cannot see from the outside. It's like edges that are behind or inside of the object. So as you can see in the example, there's an object there. The dashed line that you can see from the inside of it is what we call a hidden line. So there are 5 reminders about the hidden line. So the first one is hidden line should join a visible line, except when it causes visible line to extend too far. In other words, leave a gap whenever a hidden line dash forms a continuation of visible line. So it means that if a dashed line touches a solid line, it should normally connect. So but if it makes the solid line confusing or too long, stop the hidden line just before it reaches the solid line. As you can see in the example below, there is with a gap and connected. Okay, so the next one is a hidden line should intersect to form L or T. So it means when 2 dashed line connects, they should meet clearly at a corner or midnight. Avoid making to look like an X because that makes the drawing confusing. So if there's a 2 dashed line that you should connect, so it should be intersect and form it to the L shape and T shape there. So the next one is hidden line should jump a visible line. So it means that when a dashed line touches a solid visible line, it should stop reaching before it. So then continue again after the visible line. This keep the solid lines clear and easy to read. So as you can see, there's a example below. So there's a solid line in the middle. As you can see, the dashed line is jump over the solid line. So the next one is parallel hidden lines should be drawn so that they are staggered in a manner similar to bricklaying. So as it means that if you do draw 2 or more hidden lines that are parallel, don't make the dashes exactly on top of each other. Stagger them a bit so it's easier to see that they are separate lines. So as you can see in the example below, there are wrong and correct. So the wrong is the hidden lines are aligned. So the correct one, it is staggered like a bricklaying. You should draw it like a bricklaying. So the readers will not be confused. So the last one is when 2 or more hidden lines meet at a point, like dashes should join. Okay, so it means that if dashed lines are to meet at the same spot, like in a corner, they should join neatly together so it looks like one clean intersection. So as you can see in the example below, there is a wrong and correct way to meet the hidden lines in the point. So the wrong is there is a gap between them. So that's the wrong one. So the correct one is a dashes should join at a corner. Next one, the next line is a section or hatching line. So section line, thin diagonal lines usually at a 45 degrees angle drawn inside on the object surface in a technical drawing. So it shows the cut surface of an object when it is sliced open in a section view. So as you can see, there are different section lines in a different object. There is a wood. What are the others there? Okay. So as you can see here in an example, the diagonal lines that you can see there after it cut is what we call the section line. So the next line is a center line. So center line is a special line in technical drawings that tell us where the exact middle of something is. It doesn't represent the edge of the object like a visible line do, but instead it shows us the symmetry or the axis. So it is a guide that tells us this is the middle of that object. Okay, so as you can see there in the example, there is a X in the middle part of the object. So that is what we call the center line. It tells us where is the middle line of this object. The last example, it shows us what the section line, the hidden line, and the center line.
Good day everyone, I'm Faitines Illustrissimo. So I will talk about extension and dimensional line.
Extension and dimension line. Extension is amo ng length and dimension is width. Thin and dark lines show the length, width, and height of the features of an object. The ideal pencil grade, we can use H or 3H or 4H, and each pen you can use 0.1, 0.2, and 0.3. Extension line, thin and dark lines extending from the object to the dimension lines, showing where the dimensions apply. So, if magkuhan kita sa extension, sa pencil grade, magamit kita sang H, 2H, or 3H. Since sa teach pen kay 0.1. So, you can see here, I have an example of extension line. So, di ba makikita mo dito sa example nga, like inang tin gani nga line sa upper and down. So, tawag sina extension line kay nag-extend ka sang line gani sa each box or inang like a circle na ara siya ng the extension ba. So, amo siyang gitawag na extension line. Next is dimension line. Thin and dark lines with arrowheads or text marks at each end used to indicate the measurements of parts. Arrowheads at both ends terminate at the extension lines. So, magamit kita sa pencil is H, 3H, or 4H, and teach pin is 0.1, 0.2, or 0.3. So I have example of dimension, 'di ba? Ang extension kay nagpakita siya sang iya length. And sa dimension naman kay iya width, which is kung pila ang measurement na nakuha nimo sa imo gi-example sa extension line. In short, sa extension line show where to measure, and the dimension line show how much or nag-show sang pila ang measurement. So sa dimension line, there are 3 parts, which is arrowhead, dimension line, and dimension text. So arrowhead is a marks where measurements begins and end. And sa dimension line naman kay nagkunit siya sa arrowhead to show the distance. While dimension text kay nag-show na sa actual measurement, which is kung pila ang measure sa space sa dimension line. So I have example here. Nakita ka mo sinang arrow? Yes, this. Amo na siya ang arrowhead. While ang ining line is dimension line. So ining kung pila ang iyang measurement, which is amo na siya ang dimension text.
Good day, everyone. So my topic is all about the leader line, reference line, cutting plane line, and viewing plane line. So let's start with the leader line. So as you can see in the picture, this one is called a leader line. A leader line is a medium weight line, meaning medyo baga-baga ni siya nga linya. The arrow that you see is used to connect notes or labels to the specific features of the drawing. As we all know, an arrow is very important, right? It helps us identify or point out the important or specific part of the drawing that we need to focus on. Now, if you will notice, there is a small horizontal line. That's what we call the elbow. This helps create a clear and organized connection kung asa nagikan ang line o kung asa siya padulong. Without this elbow, it would be very confusing and gubot siya tanawon. Take note ha, the arrowhead should always touch the specific feature, and as much as possible, the leader line should be short and should not cross each other. And for your information, kung makakita mo og dot instead of an arrow, that's because the arrow is used to point a line, while the dot is used to point the surface or ibabaw sa object. So next, we have the reference line. As you can see in the picture, a reference line is used to label or describe parts of an object. For example, it can show measurements, notes, or additional information about a drawing. Unlike the leader line, the reference line is more general and is used to explain or identify certain details in the object. For example, if you are making a drawing of a machine part or a building, the reference line helps show the dimensions, levels, or even notation like top view. It serves as a guide para mas klaro ang drawing ug mas sayon sabton. Sometimes, it's also used to connect dimension lines or to indicate remarks like materials or finishes. So, mao ni siya ang line nga nagtabang mapahapsay or og mag-organize sa drawing. To make it simple, reference line is used to show measurements or additional information about the object. So the third one is the cutting plane line. As you can see in the picture, this line shows where the object is cut so that we can see or reveal the internal details or in ang sulod sa kana nga section view or object. For example, if you look at the drawing, it shows the cut portion of the object, right? And reveals the inside details that we normally can't see from the outside. This helps us understand the full structure of the object, both outside and inside. And lastly, we have the viewing plane line. This is a type of line used in technical drawing or drafting to show the exact position and direction from which a particular view is taken. In short, it helps us understand which part of the object we're looking at and from what angle. If you notice in the picture, it's a semi-heavy line made up of one long dash followed by several shorter dashes, usually more than two. It shows the plane or direction from which a surface or section of the object is viewed. This is very useful especially when showing sectional views in mechanical or architectural drawings. And finally, the arrowheads at both ends of the line show the direction of sight, meaning where you are looking from. So, overall, these lines, the leader line, reference line, cutting plane line, and viewing plane line, all play an important role in making our drawings clear, organized, and easy to understand. Each line has its own purpose, and when used correctly, they make technical drawings more professional and readable.
Hi everyone, I am Jamaica M. Saison from B.Ed 2B, and I will discuss the three lines the break lines, construction lines, and phantom lines. So let's start the discussion. So first, break lines. So what is break line? A break line is a symbol used in technical drawing, like mechanical or architectural plans, to show that a part of an object that has been cut off in the drawing. This helps make the drawing clearer and shorter, especially when the object is too long or repetitive. Kung taas na siya nga object, so ang break line makahelp na siya to shorten, but still all the informations or the details of that object is seen or naalang gyapon siya, makita lang gyapon siya. So the purpose of the break lines is to shorten long objects, as what I said a while ago, no? It shortened the long object. So there are objects like pipes, beams, or wires are too long to fit on the drawing sheet. So instead of drawing the whole length, so the middle part is broken with a zigzag or wavy line. So we have two types of break lines: short break line and long break line. So the short break line is a thick, wavy, freehand line used in technical drawings. It shows that a small portion or edge of an object is removed or broken to make the drawing clearer or to reveal interior details. So the ideal pencil grade is B or 2B. Mo na ang pencil nga gamiton to kuan sa break line, to draw a break line. The thick pen or 0.3 to 0.5 thick pen ang gamiton. So the purpose of break line is to remove a small part of an object. It is used when you want to show internal details or edges that are not visible from the outside. So magamit ang break lines, no, for kanang para mas makita nimo ang internal details or unsa ang sulod na object na dili makita sa outside. So ang short break line is to help to see the internal details rather, or edges of the object that is not visible to the outside of the object. It is also to simplify complex shapes. Instead of drawing the full edge or surface, you can break it with short wavy line. An example here. So, mo na siya ang siya makita. Pero makita naman sana siya sa image diha. Naman na example diha. Unsa forma sa short break line. So, mo na siya ang example sa short break line. Natay 3-dimensional view and 2-dimensional view. So, as you can see, wavy siya. And so, dira makita nyo sa 3-dimensional, no, nga if 3-dimensional is kung unsa ang nasa unsa ang nasa sud sa object, makita dyan nimo if na short break line. The second one is the long break line. The long break line is a thin straight line with a zigzag in the middle, used in technical or engineering drawings. It shows that the middle portion of a long object that has been removed or cut out in a drawing to make it fit better on the paper and to simplify the illusions. So the purpose of the break lines is to save drawing space. Para dili kayo ma-occupied ang tanang space. So the long break line will help. It makes the drawing more compact while still showing all the important details like ends and features. So we have an example here. So there are three-dimensional example and two-dimensional example. So let's proceed to the second line, the construction line. Construction line is a very thin and light line used as a guide when creating technical drawing. It helps you to lay out the basic shapes, proportions, and alignments before drawing the final lines. So, ang gamit aning or ang purpose aning ko ang construction line is mugayad na siya nimo para the length and the width of the kanang imong gidrawing is pantay jud siya para dili mahiwi. But ang kaning construction line, it should be kanang dili kay siya maklaro in order na inig pa nimo is dali ra siya pa kung final na imong drawing. So the ideal pencil grade is 3H, 4H, or F, or fine nga pencil. That ang thick pen nga gamiton is it could be 0.2 or 0.1 or 0.2. So a phantom line is a thin, broken line made up of repeating pattern of a long, short, long dashes. It is used in technical and mechanical drawings to show that the alternate position of a moving part or to indicate related parts that are not directly visible. So, para ang phantom lines is mauni siya na kanang object nga kanang mo move ang kanang object. So in order for you nga dili na lang drawing kung unsa ang kanang ang kanina side, magkuan na lang ka og kanang phantom line para to kanang kana nga object is move siya or molihok. There are three purposes of phantom line in drawings. First, to show that the alternate position of moving parts. To show the alternate position of moving parts. It means that the phantom lines are used to illustrate how parts moves from one position to another without drawing two separate views. Para dili na mo kana ganing i-drawing ang unsa na dire og nya i-drawing pa sa nimo dire sa Picasso. Dili na siya nimo i-drawing kung magamit na ka og phantom lines. It also helps visualize motions, rotation, sliding, or tilting and mechanical part of assemblies. Second is to show the relationship of parts that fit together. So phantom lines can also indicate how different parts relate or align with each other in assembly. The third one or the last one is to show repeated detail. Phantom lines will be used to indicate identical or repetitive features that appear multiple times in drawing. This is the example of phantom line. So kaning part is kanang two-dimensional or kanaging basta makita ninyo dira nga basta thick man na ang ang original niya ang kanang ang thin kay mo na ang kanang mo na phantom lines. Asan to? I have also another example here. Pero di lang ka siya makita kay man. Hindi siya makita. Di siya makita. So, di man siya makita. So, dili na lang nato pugson. So, thank you everyone for listening and watching this video. I hope you learned. And bye.
Hi, good morning everyone. My name is Latiomi Olasiman, and today I will be discussing the two types of line used in technical drawing. So first, let's start with stitch line. A stitch line is a thin dashed line like this. It shows where the sewing will happen on a garment or product design. It helps the sewer know the exact path where two pieces of fabric will join together. So in simple words, it tells you kung asa dapit tahion, dili kung asa dapit putlon. Stitch line must be thin, not thick. In CAD or computer-aided design, it is used to mark stitching area and pattern layouts. It is usually or mostly used in fashion or product design drawings. The tools to use in making stitching lines in technical drawing, first is ideal pencil grade, an edge or 2H pencil. This type of pencil is not too dark. It creates light and clean lines. Second, a 0.1 thick pen. So this pen makes even and thin lines, making the stitch line look neat and professional. In the image, you can see a thin dashed line labeled as stitch line. So, kana nga linya, it shows where the stitches will be placed when kanang duha or duha ka fabric or flows kay tahion together. So if you look closely sa drawing, there are numbers and arrows. Kana nga arrow nga naa center, it pointing directly to the thin dashed line. And thin dashed line is the stitch line, and it represents the path of the needle and thread when sewing. Diba, kung manahi ka, dili nimo jud suon og tahi ang tumoy sa panapton. Imo unang binlan og kanang space, and that is called seam allowance. Para siya nindo tan-awon or limpyo tan-awon ang imong gitahi. And ang number sa tumoy, kuna siyang iyahang gitas-on. Ang gitas-on, which is 1.6 mm or 0.06. And that is the space and the dash size. While ang iyahang gilapdon is 0.38 to 0.55 mm. Kung unsa kabaga o nipis ang line kung imong drawingon. Next, a seam line. Seam line is a thin to medium dash line that is used mostly in technical drawing. It looks like this, a combination of long and short dashes. The purpose and meaning of seam line is used to show the center of an object, a path of movement, or an axis of symmetry. So, in simple terms, it helps the designers or engineers know the middle part of the movement and the direction of a part in drawing. So, it is, or common na to siya makita sa machine parts like gears, for example, sa bike. Kana bitong tungtunganan sa kadina, kanang circle, tungtungan sa kadina. Kung ang kadina sige ni magbira, di ba? Ang katong circle to center, masigi siya og rotates or masigi siya og lihok. And makita sad nimo ang seam line sa electric fan blade. Kung imong paandaran ang electric fan, di ba ang katong blade sa electric fan, masigi po og tuyok. So just like stitch line, the ideal pencil grade is H or 2H, and the thick pen is 0.1 because this makes create lights and accurate lines that won't make messy or dili hugaw tan-awon ang drawing.